pure God power. Get everything you ever wanted and live the life of your dreams. The Master's Course. Copyright 2010 by Richard Lee McKim Jr. All rights reserved. Let the quest for knowing begin. This is where physical reality reveals its flaws. Or does it? The prime directive of physical reality insists that every perceived aspect of reality must have a physical component that realistically explains and describes the event. By this directive, sight has eyes that receive light rays and a retina that converts them into nerve signals and all kinds of realistic physical processes that cascade through a brain, finally resulting in vision. However, seeing with the fingertips violates this prime directive of our physical reality. If physical reality were to support this action in a realistic way, it would have to begin generating an eye mechanism in the tip of each finger and generating specialized nerve cells that lead to the brain through the hands and arms. And only after this transformation was complete, then and only then would a realistic reality begin to see from the fingertips by way of this newly generated seeing mechanism. But this physical, realistic counterpart and justification hasn't taken place. Does this mean that physical reality is actually flawed? No, it does not. The reason that reality always has to be realistic is because it is based on our beliefs. We have to believe it for it to be our reality. So, we only believe that which is realistic, and that is why reality always, almost always, has a realistic explanation. Otherwise, we wouldn't believe it, and it wouldn't become our reality. Get it? We only believe what is realistic, and so we only experience and see that which is realistic. However, we do have a back door to this realistic requirement. Reality is actually still working perfectly by way of an exception clause. What has actually happened is that this amazing feat has been experienced, and the justification is the supernatural, a miracle, or just a freak of nature. It is our belief in the unusual, the supernatural, and miracles which opens the door to amazing experiences that would otherwise be unavailable to us if they had to have a physical justification. This is how I got the idea for this book, because I realized that these weren't just freak occurrences, they were all similar, and that they were all in their own reality. They could do things over and over again, consistently within their own world, reality, that we were unable to do in ours. But the fact that they were able to do these amazing things is as real as the fact that we cannot. According to our agreed upon definition, anything that can be done and experienced is real and reality. Both of these opposing realities can and do exist side by side. Consider this next freak of nature or miracle or supernatural event, or as I like to call it, an expression of their personal, individual, and specialized reality. David Eisenberg, MD, a clinical research fellow at the Harvard Medical School, published an account of two school-aged Chinese sisters in Beijing who could see well enough with the skin in their armpits to read notes and identify colors. What? Okay, let's look at this illustration. Normal reality. Here we go again. The normal physical meaning of the persons. Then the physical meaning of armpits. Armpits don't see. Everyone knows that. The physical meaning of seeing. Seeing requires light and eyes. Everyone knows that, don't they? Equals the physical meaning result. They don't see with their armpits. That's normal reality, isn't it? But you see, that's just reality based on those meanings. You take the meaning that armpits don't see, and you add in the meaning that seeing requires light in eyes, and you get the result, meaning they don't see with their armpits. How can they? You've got a meaning that says armpits don't see. You got a meaning that says seeing requires light in eyes. With those two meanings, it's impossible to see. You will elicit a response, an outcome out of that situation from the infinite that's available where you do not see with your armpits. Out of the infinite possible things it could be, you're going to elicit with those two meanings, armpits don't see, seeing requires light in eyes, with those two meanings together, you're going to elicit an outcome that says you don't see with your armpits. It's simple. That's what resonance does. However, you go down here to your God power, exercised by their own beliefs. You have the physical meaning of the persons. Nothing has changed there, which is the situation. It's neutral. It's the same exact situation as the other illustration where they can see. However, this time we've got two different meanings asserted by God power. We have a meaning that you can see with your armpits. We have a meaning that seeing does not require light in eyes. Now with those two meanings together, resonance goes into the sea of infinite possible outcomes of this situation, and it elicits a situation that they do see with their armpits. Isn't that amazing? Everything's the same, but you've changed the meaning, so now you elicit a different outcome from the infinite possible outcomes that are available. By giving it a different meaning, in this case, two different meanings together, you can see with your armpits, and you don't have to have light in eyes to see, and you get a different outcome. It's just that simple. Here it says in green, the ability has been elicited and activated in their own life experience. Here, once again, they're striking the green tuning fork. I can see, and the meaning is, doesn't require my eyes, doesn't require light, and the meaning is, I can see with my armpits. So what happens? They elicit the response from the situation that says, I can see with my armpits. Not just one, by the way. Both of those girls can. They both had the same meaning. Now, isn't that interesting in itself? I mean, one person having that is really extraordinary, but since they were sisters, they were both thinking the same thoughts because they talked to each other. They both had the same ideas. They both had the same meanings, so they both had the ability. Doesn't that make sense? Because since the ability comes by way of meaning, which elicits the ability, if they're both talking with each other and one of them says, hey, I can see with my armpit, doesn't that make sense that the other one would say, well, I probably can too. And guess what? If you think you can, you can. Here it says the green tuning fork vibrations are high frequency meanings and they resonate and elicit all the things that will match them. It elicits everything that is necessary for that meaning to become true. It elicits the outcome from the situation that matches the meaning that you can see with your armpits, and seeing does not require light in eyes. It elicits that, and it becomes that. Here it says the red tuning fork vibrations are low frequency meanings, and they resonate, elicit with all things that will not match them. They're not eliciting any of those. Those are the ones that says, I can't do it. It's impossible. It can't be done. Everyone knows you can't see with your armpit. Everyone knows that you need to have light in eyes to see. I mean, who doesn't know that? See, that goes to show you a little bit more about immersion, because as you learn in school, that's why we have such similar realities. They're not the same shared reality. We each have our own individual reality, but we're experiencing it similarly because we all learned in school that you see with your eyes. We all learned in school that light rays come into your eyes and that's how you see. So as you learn that, you automatically exclude, by mutual exclusion, the possibility of seeing with any other part of your body because everyone knows you see with your eyes. And if you know that, then you know you can't see with anything else. Do you see how that works? You become immersed even more. Your abilities are limited by what you do know. Because you do know that seeing comes through your eyes, and only through your eyes. Because you do know that, you can't do these other things. But no one told these girls that they could only see with their eyes. And so they could see with their armpits. Nobody told that other girl who could see with her fingertips. Nobody told her that she couldn't see with her fingertips. She can see with her fingertips. The other girl can see with her nose. If they had gone to school and learned for sure that that was impossible, then it would have been impossible. Here is another example of people being able to see in a place that has no visual capacity. there are no visual organs or photoreceptors or connections to the visual cortex where vision is supposed to happen. They didn't say whether they needed light to see, but I suspect that light wouldn't be necessary either, since there was no optical receptors to receive the light anyway. Does this meet our definition of reality? Remember that we said, let's call reality that which someone can experience. If someone can experience it, it's reality. Well, they can experience it, so it must be reality.
To continue, go to How to Use Your God Power, chapter number 10, segment number 15. Let your quest for knowing continue.